6 years into our marriage, I still believed I had chosen right. Jason was everything I thought I needed: a calm presence, a provider, a man who always made people laugh without trying too hard. We met in college, both clumsy and ambitious, the kind of young love that was messy in the beginning, but matured into something solid. Or so I thought. I teach 3rd grade at a local elementary school, the kind of job that drains you but leaves you grateful. Jason, on the other hand, worked as a graphic designer for a boutique ad agency downtown. He wore creativity like a second skin: mismatched socks, coffee breath, and midnight ideas. For a long time, that imbalance between our lives made us interesting to each other. Lately, though, it had begun to feel more like distance. Jason had become quieter, less present. He started working late more often, always claiming client meetings or last-minute revisions. His phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, now followed him everywhere: bedroom, bathroom, backyard. I told myself it was paranoia, that every marriage has ebbs and flows. But when intimacy began to fade into mechanical routines, quick pecks, half-hearted hugs, I stopped ignoring the knot in my stomach. It was around that time my younger cousin Lily came to stay with us. She had just transferred to a university nearby and needed a place to stay while her student housing was sorted. At 22, Lily was all spark, spirited, effervescent, unaware of the way she drew attention simply by existing. I loved her. Truly. She reminded me of a younger version of myself before the responsibilities and routines had sanded down my edges. Jason was welcoming, maybe a little too welcoming. He joked with her over dinner, asked about her classes, even offered to show her some design tools he used. At first, I thought it was sweet. He had always been good with people. But soon I noticed how his gaze lingered a little longer when she laughed, how he seemed to light up when she entered a room. It wasn't overtly inappropriate, but it felt off. Intuition can be cruelly vague, yet stubbornly insistent. I brushed it off. I had to. The alternative was too uncomfortable to entertain. Then came the day that reshaped everything. It was a Thursday, gray and drizzling. A scheduled workshop at school was canceled last minute, and I decided to surprise Jason by coming home early. Maybe we could grab lunch or just sit on the porch like we used to. The thought of spontaneity made me hopeful, something we hadn't shared in a while. I pulled into the driveway quietly, umbrella already open before I stepped out. As I approached the front door, I noticed Jason's car was still parked in the same spot. Odd, considering he said he had meetings across town. Maybe they were canceled too? The door creaked slightly as I pushed it open. The house smelled like coffee and lavender candles, Lily's favorite. I slipped off my shoes and moved toward the living room. That's when I heard them. Soft laughter, his voice low and relaxed, hers playful. I paused at the hallway corner, heart hammering. A part of me wanted to turn around, to leave and pretend I hadn't heard anything. But curiosity won out. Or maybe it was fear. I peeked into the living room. There they sat, close on the couch. Jason was brushing something, lint, maybe, from Lily's hair, and she was smiling up at him in a way I had never seen her smile at anyone before. It wasn't a kiss. There were no words of affection. But everything about their posture screamed intimacy, unspoken, yet undeniable. I stepped back, quiet as a whisper, retreating into the hallway. My breath caught in my throat as I tiptoed into the kitchen, pretending to rattle bags like I had just entered. A moment later, Jason appeared, expression composed but flushed. "Em, you're home early?" "Yeah," I replied, keeping my voice light. "Workshop got canceled." Lily followed shortly after, tucking her hair behind her, ears, cheeks pink. "Hey, Emma, I was just showing Jason some photos from class. You'd love them." "Sure," I said, forcing a smile. "Maybe later." The rest of the afternoon unfolded like a performance, everyone playing their roles, pretending the script hadn't just shifted. But I saw it. I felt it. Something. Between them had already crossed a line. Maybe not physically, but emotionally. The boundary had blurred. That evening, as I lay in bed beside the man I no longer recognized, I replayed that moment on the couch over and over. A single glance had rewritten the narrative I thought I understood, and though I hadn't confronted him, a quiet war had already begun. I didn't know it yet, but I wasn't going to walk away. I was going to stay, and I was going to watch. Sleep evaded me that night. I lay still, eyes fixed on the ceiling, listening to the slow, steady rhythm of Jason's breath beside me. He slept easily, too easily. The image of him sitting beside Lily replayed in my mind like a poisoned lullaby. The way he brushed her hair, the way she looked at him. It wasn't just casual affection, it was emotional trespass. But I didn't. Cry. Not yet. Grief hadn't arrived, only strategy. If there was a truth hiding in this house, I needed it to reveal itself completely. I couldn't accuse him on a hunch, and I wouldn't let them lie their way out of what I saw. No, I needed evidence, and to get that, I had to stay quiet. The next morning, I made pancakes. Jason raised an eyebrow as he entered the kitchen, adjusting his tie. "You're in a good mood." "Why wouldn't I be?" I replied cheerfully, pouring syrup with precision. "Thought we could all start the day together." He smiled, nervously. Lily joined us moments later, fresh-faced and barefoot. "Smells amazing, Em." I watched them carefully. The way Jason avoided looking at me. The way Lily glanced at him when she thought I wasn't watching. There was a shift in their chemistry, less careless now, more cautious. That's when I knew I was right. Still, I played the part of the doting wife and accommodating cousin. I asked Lily about her classes, encouraged her to share more about her photography hobby. I even offered to drive her to campus when Jason was too busy. I made space for them to breathe, so I could watch how they filled it. That evening, I called Sarah. She had been my best friend since high school. If anyone could keep a secret and give me clarity, it was her. "I think Jason's crossing a line with Lily," I said, voice barely above a whisper. There was a long pause on the other end of the call. "You're not the paranoid type, Em. What happened?" I told her everything, what I saw, what I felt, the shift in tone. Sarah was quiet for a beat, then answered with the steadiness I needed. "You can't confront them now. If they're being cautious, they'll deny it. You need proof. Play the long game." My stomach turned. That feels manipulative. "No, it's self-preservation," she corrected. "You're not trying to trap them. You're trying to understand the truth." She was right. Truth had to come from shadows, not accusations. So I began to help them. I suggested Jason work from home more often. I casually brought Lily tea when she and Jason were in the study, smiling as if nothing unnerved me. I encouraged their time together. The more comfortable they got, the more careless they became. Jason started staying up later, claiming project deadlines. I'd quietly walk past the study and see their heads tilted close over his laptop, hear low murmurs and soft laughter. Lily stopped spending time with me altogether. She said she was busy, overwhelmed with coursework, but I saw the shift, guilt turning to avoidance. Then came the message I wasn't supposed to see. It happened by accident. My laptop had died and Lily's was on the coffee table. She had left in a rush for class. I opened the lid intending to check my email when a WhatsApp web window blinked open. At the top of the screen, Jason, and beneath it, a stream of messages. "I dreamt of you last night. She's been acting strange. Think she suspects anything? I can't keep pretending much longer." My hands trembled. I took photos of the screen with my phone, capturing every word like a cruel poem. My breath felt thick in my chest. It was real, tangible, no longer a suspicion, no longer an instinct. They were in it together, deceiving me under my own roof. But I didn't scream. I didn't confront. I closed the laptop, returned it to the table, and sat down. I waited until Jason came home. He kissed my cheek absent-mindedly. "Long day," he muttered. "I bet." I replied calmly, handing him a glass of wine. In that moment, I saw him clearly. Not the man I married, but the stranger who now stood in his place. I had the truth now. But truth wasn't enough. I wanted him to know I saw him. I wanted Lily to see herself through my eyes. I had waited for them to betray me. Now they would wait for me to decide what came next. I always imagined betrayal as a loud, violent thing, shouting, breaking glass, slamming doors. But the truth arrived in whispers, in silences stretched thin by avoidance. After I read the messages, after I saw the heart next to Jason's name, on Lily's screen I expected rage to consume me. But instead, there was clarity. They didn't deserve the satisfaction of a dramatic scene. No tears, no accusations, just consequence. The next morning, I made coffee for all three of us. The sun poured in through the kitchen windows like nothing had changed. I placed Jason's mug in front of him and added an extra spoon of sugar, just how he liked it. Lily patted in seconds later, yawning as though she hadn't shattered the ground beneath my feet. "Morning, guys," she chirped, brushing hair from her eyes. "Morning," I replied. "We should have dinner together tonight, the three of us." Jason looked up from his phone, startled. "Dinner?" "Yeah," I said, keeping my tone light. "It's been a while since we all sat down together." Lily hesitated, eyes flicking. Toward Jason, then back to me. "Sure, that sounds nice." They didn't know I had seen the messages. They didn't know that I was done being the passive observer. That evening, I made roast chicken with lemon and rosemary, mashed potatoes, and steamed asparagus, Jason's favorite. I set the table, lit candles, poured wine. The house felt warm, deceptively serene. We sat, we ate, we spoke about nothing. Courses came and went. Laughter was exchanged like currency, and tension sat uninvited between us. Halfway through dessert, I reached for my phone. "I want to show you both something," I said, unlocking it with a calm smile. Jason's fork froze midair. I turned the screen toward them, displaying the screenshots from Lily's laptop. The messages, the pet name, the thinly veiled confessions. I didn't say a word. I let the silence do the speaking. Lily's face drained of color. Jason set his fork down, suddenly unable to look at either of us. "You left your laptop open," I said quietly, my voice even. "I didn't go looking, but the truth doesn't always need to be hunted. Sometimes it just lands in your lap." "I can explain," Jason blurted, voice cracked, desperate. "I hope you do," I replied, folding my napkin with care. "But not tonight." Lily tried to speak. Something about confusion, about blurred lines, but I held up a hand. "You're not confused, Lily. You're calculated. You knew I trusted you. You knew I welcomed you into this home. That made it easier." Jason opened his mouth again, but I didn't care to hear it. Words couldn't rebuild what silence had already eroded. I stood, collected my plate, and walked toward the kitchen. From behind me, I heard chairs scrape the floor. Jason followed. "Emma, please, it didn't mean—" "Don't," I said, turning to face him. "Don't insult me with that cliché. It meant enough for you to lie about it. It meant enough to risk everything." He looked smaller than I'd ever seen him. Not just guilty, dismantled. "I should have told you," he whispered. "You should have stopped," I corrected. He didn't respond. He couldn't. That night, I didn't sleep in our bed. I stayed in the guest room, the one Lily had used ironically. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, remembering the woman I was before this storm arrived, before suspicion turned to certainty. Before I learned that love, once corrupted, doesn't scream, it leaves quietly. The next morning, Lily was gone. Her room was stripped of her presence. She left a folded note on the counter that I didn't bother reading. I didn't need apologies woven in fragile handwriting. The damage was done. Jason stayed. For days, he tried to make amends. He cried. He confessed. He begged. But it wasn't anger that stopped me from forgiving him. It was clarity, the realization that the man I once loved was capable of becoming a stranger without warning. Eventually, I asked him to leave. And he did, quietly, with slumped shoulders and a suitcase packed with regret. I didn't burn the photos. I didn't erase the memories. I didn't rewrite the past. I simply chose myself. And in that quiet, devastating choice, I began to heal.